Internet, and welcome to a bonus episode for E3
bonus bit
of 80-Bit Podsmash.
where gaming goes to grab a beer.
We are your hosts.
Penguin and Termite. I'm Penguin.
I'm Termite.
And 80-Bit Podsmash is a weekly video game podcast where we smash together topics of conversation that you care about with the general idea of video games as a whole. That's what we are. That's what we do. Today, as Termite said, is a bonus episode where we will be talking about E3 and our post-mortem, if you will, of E3. And in celebration of E3 being, for the most part, over and all the fun new game hype announcements, we're going to do a quick shot of Dogfish Head Analog Vodka.
Yes.
And cheers.
Cheers to that, if you heard the tink.
Oh, that's smooth. It's smoothy smooth.
It's very smooth.
Right and smooth. These bonus episodes are usually pretty unfiltered. Not that we're still going to keep our content family friendly, but we're not going to, you'll still hear all of our ums and uhs and e's because we're not really going to go through and do an editing pass because we want to get this turned out and quickly
live straight to your ears immediately.
It's practically live without being live, but it's definitely unedited. So that's what I mean by unfiltered. So you'll hear all of our like gross chugging sounds as we took that shot of vodka, and you'll hear our ums and stuff. But so if that offends you, apologies. But we're also going to skip normal typical banter and DLC and favorite things because we're going to go right into the meat of our episode. Because again, it's a bonus. The whole thing is just extra. It's just
if you are new, if you're new to us, you don't know who we are, you don't have any clue what Penguin just talked about. We do have a regular podcast. As we opened up, our introduction is 80-Bit Podsmash. It goes live every Monday at midnight, weekly. So come check us out. We have a myriad of topics to talk about, all about the gaming industry and various topics. Go check us out there. Download a couple episodes. We have fun.
Yeah, and if you're just here for the E3 stuff, we're happy you're here. If you want to hear our cool hot takes on E3, then we're glad you're here. We would hope that you would check us out, or at least follow us on our various social medias. You want to go ahead and lay that out now while we're
sure.
While we're
here?
So
if you want to find us, you can go to 80bitpodsmash.com. That's our landing website where we have links to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We're on all the different podcast services you can think of. If we are not somewhere you want us to be, let us know, and we will put ourselves there. You can find us on various social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit. It's all 80BIT Podsmash. No hyphens, no spaces, no funny business, just 80-Bit Podsmash. And you can hit us up there. We would love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear requests, your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, and topic ideas.
Yeah. And so let's get down to business to defeat the Huns.
Let's do it.
The way this is going to work, it's going to be a lot. I don't know if anyone listened to us, any of our listeners from last year, remember our long, rambling, like 3-hour episode.
It was very long.
We're not going to do that. This year, we decided to change the format up a little bit. We split it into 2 episodes. So one was kind of all of our speculation, excitement, and pre-hype, and the things that we were like really wanting out of each one. This one we're mostly going to break down what actually happened, and we're going to do 10 to 15 minutes per conference, and then do some kind of overall thoughts. And yeah, so let's jump into it if it's cool with you. And do you have anything else you wanted to add? Any other disclaimers or anything like that?
We are going to go through. The format is we're going to talk about each press conference, and at the end we will talk about E3 as a whole for 2019.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. So,
Did you say that already?
Kind of.
You just said it was changed.
Yeah, I think, well, I broke it down a little bit, but I think you did it more succinctly. It's fine. It's not going to be edited, so it's cool. But we're ahead of schedule, so let's go ahead and dive in. Take advantage, jump right into the breach.
All right.
So cool. So the press conferences, first press conference started. EA was what? Saturday morning? I don't
remember when it was.
It was this past Saturday morning.
It was Saturday at noon.
Yeah.
That's right.
And yeah, so
and
EA.
It was, EA didn't have a live press conference this year. They scaled it back to a very like pre-recorded thing. They just kind of played it off with.
It was EA Play.
That's what it was called.
And it was like and yeah, it was like them kind of playing through the games and talking about them.
Yep.
The developers.
With a little bit of interviews and stuff in between.
Yeah,
Greg Miller hosted the whole thing. Shout out to Kinda Funny. If you liked it and you like Greg Miller, you can go to their website and check them out on YouTube. They inspire me on this podcast. So
nice. Yeah, I remember him because he also did he was also there for the Borderlands gameplay reveal. Yeah. So I'm getting used to his voice. His voice is now a voice that is in my head. Cool. All right. Well, yeah. What were you, if anything, were you hyped about or excited about seeing?
They laid the schedule out in advance, so there really wasn't any surprises. And I knew that I wanted to see Star Wars. Jedi Fallen Order. That was the world reveal of that game. It had never been shown before. Actual gameplay hadn't been shown before until then. So that was amazing. I loved it.
Yep.
Ate it all up. That was my hype moment. That was what it was. Luckily, it was first because then we could just bounce after that.
Yeah, and I think bounce both of us did. There was nothing else I was interested in. I don't think I even really watched that. I was playing the new Borderlands DLC.
I was putting a roof on my shed.
That's right, you were. And so I watched it kind of touch and go here and there. I definitely made a point to kind of check it out a little bit, but I guess I wasn't playing the new DLC because it wasn't out yet. So I was leveling my assassin then, doing something that I had already done before. So that's how disinterested I was. That said, Jedi Fallen Order does look fun. Does look like a lot of fun. I'm still cautiously optimistic. I still will probably wait to either see what the reviews are like and buy it if the reviews are really good.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then either way, I'll probably borrow your copy because I know you're gonna pre-order.
I don't have it pre-ordered.
Oh, you're not.
I'm not going to pre-order.
Okay, so you are going to wait. Similar.
I'll wait till
to
close to launch and see what the reviews and reception is, and then I'll jump.
It is. Is it not? It's coming out in November, right?
Yep.
So, kind of as a pre-thought, something that really struck out to me is that I feel like every notable game for 2019 is coming out in November, and every notable game for 2020 is coming out in March. Like I feel like March and November are really crowded months in the next like 2 release windows.
Mm-hmm.
So
supposedly November 15th. I'm skeptical.
You think
it's going to get delayed.
But you think everything's going to get delayed.
No, only
as we will talk about.
We will. But this game and there'll be another one later. They're the two that are like, no way, it's not going to.
I think I've heard you say 3 are getting delayed.
Oh yeah,
but
call me out on it.
We'll do it when we get to them.
We'll do it. So this game looks like it's The Force Awakens if it had a high budget.
Force Unleashed, you mean?
That's what I meant.
Yep.
Because The Force Awakens was the movie. Hey, yes, The Force Unleashed 1 and 2. They were kind of like rough around the edges, definitely solid B games. I absolutely love them. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order looks like a very polished, very complete version of that with a good budget behind it. It's made by Respawn Entertainment. I have high hopes for it. It looks fantastic, at least for what they showed. Apparently, like stabbing a stormtrooper after using Force Pull were 2 different actions.
Yeah.
It was not a complete combo.
Yeah, they said that things like
button.
that were fully realized, and I don't know what that means without it being motion controls. And the reason I say that is because they also showed other things in the trailer, really what looked like really complicated moves.
Mm-hmm.
Things like slowing down time and then angling your lightsaber ever so slightly in order to hit a laser blast and cause it to ricochet into a stormtrooper. And I'm like, are those all fully quote unquote fully realized moves, as in there's buttons for each one of those small actions? If so, I don't know how they're going to do that other than if it were somehow motion controls, but it's obviously not motion controls because it's
Xbox doesn't have motion controls in their
Xbox
controllers.
Xbox not only does Xbox not, but there's no standardized motion controls across. There's no standardized motion controller type across all the platforms, and the game's coming out at least on 3 platforms. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm skeptical based on what they've like. I'm cautiously skeptical, but cautiously optimistic at the same time. If that makes sense. So
they didn't show us anything bad.
Yeah. No, nothing looks bad. So I think some people have been complaining about the graphics, but whatever.
That they look bad?
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard that they're too good.
Oh, really?
And that we'll probably get a downgrade.
I
like
see.
Anthem.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Speaking of Anthem,
Yep.
What are you disappointed in, and/or what was missing?
So, I mean, Anthem limped out of the gate. We know the problems BioWare had. We know how
talked
that's
extensively.
We
about
have.
it,
So go check out our podcast episodes about that whole conversation. I am disappointed that EA didn't acknowledge it publicly at E3. That's all it was. In our hype episode, I talked about they should. I wish they would come out and do that. But because they posted the schedule and Anthem wasn't on it, there was a brief discussion about their new Cataclysm thing. And
then they also talked about how they've got they're looking for feedback, which is like, oh, that sounds good. They're looking for player feedback. But instead of actually getting the fans on Reddit are super ticked off because instead of asking for actual genuine player feedback, the people who are buying and playing their game, they got a bunch of influencers, streamers, and esports players into a room and then asked them for feedback. And so clearly those people are going to have different priorities than the actual players and the actual fans of the game. So there's a lot of controversy about that.
I'm
not surprised at all. Exactly. There's not really much.
I'm not
more
even
to
an
say
Anthem
about that.
fan.
I know at this point I'm not. I wouldn't even describe myself as a fan.
But I still am disappointed that it wasn't there and that they didn't get ahead of this.
Yeah.
As far as like,
well, and to contrast, we'll talk a little bit later about Bethesda, and I think that Todd Howard getting on stage and acknowledging Fallout 76
it was so good.
was like,
So good.
that's exactly what Anthem should have done. That's exactly what they should have done. And they didn't. So that's super disappointing. So,
yeah, that was my biggest disappointment.
Cool.
You? Anything else?
Nope. That's all. I think we share that as well. All right. Anything you don't care about?
Sports.
All the sports. Yep.
Madden, FIFA.
Pretty much
I didn't
the
even watch
entire rest of
Yeah, because they ended
the
with
event.
like The Sims 4 and
Yeah.
extra content
Oh,
for
my
it. If you're a
gosh.
Sims fan, good on you.
Great.
Go
Yeah,
play it, enjoy
absolutely.
it. I
We
hope you're
enjoyed
excited.
it. Yeah, but we just skipped it. So
Yeah.
we'll be completely transparent. There's actually a lot that both of us skipped, so we'll be transparent about that as we get to each conference.
Yep.
So cool. All right. Overall, how did EA? What would you say if you were to give EA an overall score for their press conference? An overall. What was your overall impressions? How did they do?
The press conference itself was a good production. Greg Miller is amazing. He did a fantastic job with what he was handed. And you like that big old and you're not going to edit that one out.
Nope.
Yeah,
That's
so
the kind of quality content that you
miss.
guys normally miss.
Yeah, it was okay. I still rated it as a meh, only because I wasn't interested in the content, but the way the content was presented, if I was a fan of all of it, I would have been okay with it, so I'd give it like a B.
Yeah, I can see that. I like that they were trying something a little different and they weren't trying to do the cookie cutter press conference. But yeah, it gets a big meh for me as well, only because the stuff they covered was just so uninteresting.
Yeah.
And you know, to give credit where credit is due in regards to some of the other press conferences, it's like, at least if you're going to sneak in stupid mobile games and stuff like that in your press conference, like, don't tell people about it ahead of time so that they're forced to watch it for the other things they're interested in. Like, that may be sneaky, but it's effective. And when you lay out the schedule ahead of time, it gives people like you and me a chance to be like, great, I have no interest in watching that, so I'm just going to dip out at that point, which, I don't know, maybe that's actually a positive, being able to be like, all right, cool, I'm going to key into only the things I'm interested in. But
in general, the conference presentations, you want them to have a good mix of stuff that caters to all audiences.
Sure.
That's a good conference. Like, everyone gets something out of it. So this had Apex, Battlefield, Madden, FIFA.
Yeah, I almost did
The
watch
Sims.
the Apex stuff. I was interested in the Apex stuff mediumly, but yeah, whatever.
So if you're into those things, then you got what you wanted.
All right, cool. Let's move on. No more need to talk about the boring ones. All right, this one's probably the big one for us.
Yes.
But let's talk about it. The next one was Microsoft, which came Sunday afternoon. We live tweeted it.
We did.
It was a good time. Then we recorded an episode right after it, which you'll hear in like 2 weeks. So let's talk about Microsoft.
Microsoft hype. What were you excited about with the Microsoft press conference? I bet ours lined up. Kind of.
You listed the same things, but unfortunately, I will say that the pro and cons are: I was super hyped about Cyberpunk. I was super hyped about Outer Worlds. I was hyped about the Commander Lilith DLC that they announced. I mean, we kind of knew it was coming, but they announced it at Microsoft, so Microsoft, in my mind, gets credit for it, if you will.
Yep.
But all those things, again, we know they're coming. There wasn't much that I saw that I didn't already know or expect. Which is disappointing. Now, granted, the Xbox Scarlet announcement was cool, but like I think you said, I would have liked to see a box. I feel like they said they're coming out in holiday 2020, and it's still
Box ain't firm yet.
Didn't show us a box. They didn't show us. They didn't announce its actual name. We'll see. Like, I mean, they described stuff about it, and cool. They confirmed that a new generation's coming. But again, similarly, I just feel like they were just vague. They were just vague enough that, like, I was left a little disappointed. So I will say there were things I was hyped about, but most of the hype was stuff that I already knew was coming and expected. So there were no big. I didn't find anything that I was like, whoa, what? They're doing that? So yeah.
This is very indicative of the conference. I had one actual hype moment that I was actually surprised genuinely and reacted to audibly. You remember because you were there.
Yeah.
And that is the Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
All 9 movies are now going to be represented in Lego form. And the first Lego Star Wars, the first 2 of them, which covered the first 6 movies, were my favorite Lego games of all time. They were amazing. So the fact that they're getting a fresh coat of paint, I don't know if they're remastering. That's not announced. I did a tiny bit of research to figure out if there's any information about it at all. Don't know, but you get 9 new Lego Star Wars game movies. So I'm pumped about that. I was super excited.
Yeah.
I loved Cyberpunk. Keanu Reeves came out.
Oh, the Keanu Reeves stuff was good. And the whole the whole "you're breathtaking, you're all breathtaking" moment was fun.
Then,
and anything that happens improvised like that is wonderful. So
CD Projekt Red gave that person a collector's edition copy of the game.
That's awesome. Yeah, good stuff.
Good. Keanu Reeves, man, he's coming back.
Well, and something I'll say about this press conference was we saw multiple. I think we're entering a new era of video games where because mocap and face capture is getting so sophisticated, like selling points for games now are going to be what big actor is going to be in this game.
Movie stars and TV show stars in our video games.
And that's not, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing as long as the quality of games still maintains. So, you know, to me, it's like, I'm already excited about Cyberpunk 2077 because of who's making it and what the game looks like. Cherry on the top is they got Keanu Reeves to like be in the game. Like
there was a tweet today that apparently there are, I hope I get this right, I don't remember now. I want to say it was 15 days worth of dialogue of just Keanu Reeves alone.
Oh wow, that's awesome. I'll say another thing that I'm kind of excited about is honestly, I was, when I started to sit down and think about it, I'm kind of hyped for the Xbox Games Pass on PC thing. It's nice to know that like I don't have to invest in a console and I could get access to a bunch of Xbox exclusive games as a result. In fact, I looked it up and one of the games I saw on there, I checked to see what games are available on PC. Sunset Overdrive is available on PC, so I'm thinking about dropping the $1 for the first month.
You might as well. You got nothing to lose.
Exactly. And play Sunset Overdrive for a month. It sounds awesome to me. So, I'm kind of hyped about that. That's a really cool move. I think that, again, we've talked to great lengths about some of the cool moves that Xbox has been making, laying the foundation for, and that's definitely one of them. So, there's another one that we'll talk about by the end.
Tease about that.
All right, cool. Let's. You done with all your hypes?
No.
Okay.
So I was also hyped about Outer Worlds. They started with that. They opened with it. I thought that was cool. Obsidian is a Microsoft in-house studio. They're making this, but this game has already been in development before Microsoft acquired them, so it is coming to all systems. So it's really cool to see right off the bat. We had a Game Informer issue with them on the cover and a full centerpiece of that game. It looks amazing, kind of like Fallout New Vegas. With
supposedly people who have played it say it feels a lot like New Vegas.
Well, they were the ones that made it. So same developers, and like then tonally it looks kind of similar to that with the whole like irreverent post-apocalyptic, but your space exploration and reestablishing society. So that sounds awesome. Really pumped about Outer Worlds.
It really makes me think of to me it gives me vibes of both Fallout New Vegas and Borderlands, which sounds
with a little BioShock.
Yeah. And what I'm excited about is it looks cleaner than a Fallout game, if that makes sense. Not just like crisper, but because obviously it looked crisper than a 10-year-old game. Right. But every Fallout game I've ever played, including 4 and 76, has felt stiff to me. The controls have felt stiff, and that I do not get that vibe with Outer Worlds. And it'll be one thing to see it and one thing to play it. So I'll get my opinion out when I've actually played it, if and when I've actually played it. But it strikes me as it feels more fluid, looks more fluid, like Borderlands to me, or like BioShock. So
I'm totally in. I can't wait.
Sounds good.
Jumping into go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Jumping into my last hype moment was also next gen. I love they put a date on it. Next gen is fall of 2020.
Yeah, I was gonna say the next generation of video games
for the entire
is starting.
industry.
Yeah,
it's happening.
I mean, PlayStation 5 hasn't announced when they're coming out yet. We know it's coming though. So like, I think I tweeted. Did I tweet that? I said the next generation is officially starting. In 2020. So that is
exciting.
Cool. Yeah, that is exciting. Yeah,
and I'm with you on the Game Pass Ultimate. Is that what they call Microsoft Game Pass Ultimate? Where they're rolling in.
It's Gold and Game Pass.
Xbox Live Gold, Game Pass for PC. Newly announced, newly launched, a whole different like library of games. You get all 3 services for one monthly price of $14.99, but you can join for $1 now. I thought it was a great move. I joined for $1. I checked it out. I popped into my Xbox One, Sea of Thieves, Metro Exodus, and Forza Horizon 4 right off the bat. I'm like, yes, I will play those for a month.
Yes, I will play those games. Thank you muchly.
Yeah, and so I'm excited about the moves that Microsoft is making. Cool. They're doing well.
All right. Anything that you're disappointed about or you feel is missing?
Yes.
No, can I start? I'm going to start really quick. I'm sorry. I'm going to derail you. Fable. Fable is missing.
Well, mine was getting there.
I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, no Fable. All the rumors. I mean, maybe they're still doing it, but the reason why, and this is linked into mine, my disappointment was that Forza Horizon's reveal was a Lego DLC.
Yeah.
And while the Lego DLC in and of itself might be cool, Playground Games, who makes Forza Horizon, was rumored to make Fable.
Yeah.
So instead of Fable, we got Lego
DLC
for Forza Horizon 4.
Very disappointing. That's definitely a step down. So,
It's a weird like contextual disappointment, because if you didn't know that Fable was rumored to be developed by Playground Games, you might be excited about Lego DLC for Forza Horizon 4.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing wrong with that DLC specifically.
Right. It's just it's the same kind of setup of the Grinch leak from Smash Bros. It's like, if you didn't know the Grinch leak was coming, you probably would have been a little bit more, or I say me.
Right, you were the one affected.
If I wasn't, if I didn't know the Grinch leak was a thing, then I might have been more excited about Incineroar. Probably not, but the point still remains.
Yep.
But because of the leaks, because of the rumors, it definitely makes the disappointment stronger. Which is a downside of leaks and rumors. And believing them, but I do genuinely think it is a disappointing move to know that Microsoft does not seem to be invested in a franchise they have exclusive rights to at all
officially.
Yeah,
they might still be. We still
they might, but we don't know.
Right,
but now would have been the time to announce it.
Maybe they want to announce it next year.
Maybe
because
as a
new gen is coming May or fall.
Scarlet exclusive,
right?
Maybe a launch title. Who knows? But
or like a 2021 spring title or something.
Yeah, we'll see.
We will. And I was also disappointed that Rocksteady didn't show up. They announced this before E3, but after our pre-show. So Rocksteady made the Batman Arkham games.
Oh, yeah.
And they came out and said, we are officially not showing anything at E3. So that was a disappointment to me.
Yeah.
And the reason why I put it here is because Microsoft would have been the conference to show off anything from Rocksteady.
Yeah.
Since Sony wasn't around.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool. Anything that you didn't care about that you were underwhelmed by?
So I had high hopes for Ninja Theory because they make amazing. They've only made like really 3 games since like 2004, 2013. No. When did PS3 come out? 2006. Sorry. Heavenly Sword was a release title for PS3 developed by Ninja Theory. They made a game somewhere in the middle that I'm not aware of, and then they made Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
They made DMC. They made Devil May Cry.
That's right. Yeah,
the
Devil May Cry.
spinoff. Yeah.
There you go. Yep. Nailed it. So those
great.
are the 3 main titles they've made, and they are all awesome. So the fact that they have announced a game called Bleeding Edge, which was essentially another hero shooter.
Yeah.
Like
4v4, they call it melee combat, so it seems like it might be more of a brawler than a shooter, but it looks like there was also shooting mechanics, and it does still look like first person, if I remember correctly. Cartoony, it's definitely trying to tap in that same Overwatch.
Apex Legends.
MOBA,
maybe Splatoon, MOBA, Battleborn.
Yeah, so it just seems like it's unfortunate that a developer that has done such incredible cutting-edge work is now doing a generic hero.
And it calls into question the Microsoft's decision in buying them, because what does Ninja Theory really want to make versus what are they being paid by Microsoft to make?
Right.
Because it's just a complete tangent.
Also,
like, this is a total...
Microsoft's biggest weakness is in single-player, story-driven exclusives.
Yeah.
And when you have a developer who has proven that they can do single-player, story-driven experiences, and you make them make a generic PvP multiplayer game is frustrating, to say the least, because, and again, maybe they wanted to make that game.
Maybe they did. Maybe they wanted to innovate and try something different.
Yeah, maybe they said, hey, Microsoft, we want to make this game. Microsoft was like, really? We kind of want you to make a single-player story-driven game.
For this.
Like, no, we want to make this. All right, well, we want you to follow your passion.
Right.
But
we don't know how it went.
We don't know how it went.
Not in the room where it happens.
We're not privy to that. So, but it still calls into question. Okay, Microsoft, are you seriously interested in competing with Sony? Because Sony's killing you in the single-player, story-driven exclusives.
So that was a disappointment. Or I just didn't care.
No, I agree.
What I
agree.
I didn't. I was like,
I'm with you on that.
Okay,
100%.
And then Gears of War Pop mobile game. It was the Funko Pop Gears of War like mobile game. I just rolled my eyes and kind of this is happening. And then Wasteland 3, I have no idea what that franchise is. It's apparently coming to PS4 as well. It was like a top down maybe dungeon
didn't I tweet
RPG.
something about like
what?
Okay, more like generic post-apocalyptic dystopia shooters. Like there was like 3 zombie games.
Yep.
And then there was also like some game, Crossfire, is that what it was called? Or
Oh
it was
my.
just
I don't remember what conference that was a part of.
No, I think it was Microsoft, because I remember tweeting
Okay.
about it, and I just remember being like, gosh, this super generic, dark soldier dystopia shooter. Like,
And it had no... I can't even tell you what it's about.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
forgot.
Yeah. It's
And then
just,
State of Decay DLC.
it doesn't help Microsoft's image.
Nope.
That we talked about in our episode about gaming by the decades, talking about the aughts. Yep.
Segue.
Boom. Yeah.
Overall performance. This was Microsoft up to bat with a slow motion fastball coming straight down the middle of the plate with their best batter who has the highest home run average you could possibly put up to bat. That's the scenario that Microsoft is. Sony is gone. You have the floor. You have anything you want. Right. You can show the best, biggest conference you have ever shown to make Sony never want to come back again. And this is what we got.
Yeah, and it's kind of like they didn't miss and strike out completely, but they kind of like bunted it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I bunted it. I could have knocked it out of the park, but I'm going to bunt it and get a base. Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. I agree. If we're going with a baseball metaphor, instead of a home run, they just kind of barely cleared a base. It wasn't a bad show. Nope. It wasn't a great show. It definitely wasn't their best. And they definitely did better last year. Last year, they brought out some awesome, never-before-seen games. This year, there wasn't anything that I was like, oh, that's amazing. They had no, like, Devil May Cry 5 equivalent where they announced it. They got to be the ones who showed it off and rubbed it in Sony's face. Right. So,
and maybe, just maybe, this is just the time of year for the console lifecycle and where the gaming industry is at. It could just be that. Like, Microsoft could have given us the best that, like, what I just described as the grand slam, the home run. Maybe that was it. But it's kind of catered by where we are in the gaming industry, and that is the end of a console lifecycle where all the major developers are now starting to focus on the next gen and get all their new hardware tech out, get all this new streaming platform, get all the infrastructure made. Maybe, and this is why maybe that's why Sony backed out, right? They're on top. They just the
didn't know what. Yeah,
like we already announced our big PS4 titles. Everything's kind of moving to PS5 or whatever now, and we just don't want to spend the money to show up, and because we don't have a lot to announce. Yeah. And maybe Microsoft is in the same boat, but they didn't want to bow out as well. So, and it kind of is that way throughout all of the conferences. Every big thing that was shown, we kind of already knew about. Across all the conferences.
With some exceptions, but we'll get there.
So
we'll get there. Saving the best for last. All right,
always.
Let's move on. All right, so moving
any last
on.
nuggets about Microsoft?
No, I think we hit them. I think we hit the main ones.
Yes.
So next on the list was that evening. Was Bethesda?
Yeah, it was that night.
Yep, that night. So after Microsoft's Sunday night was Bethesda. I missed it. Had to catch up on it the next day. But Bethesda. What were you hyped about?
I loved Bethesda's press conference. It was a little weak in the middle, but they had strong showing. So right off the bat, what I was hyped about, I knew it was coming, was Todd Howard's discussion of Fallout 76. We're sorry, it came out. I'm sorry, he never actually apologized. And this is a good caveat. I don't think developers ever need to apologize for releasing content, ever.
No, they just need to own up to whatever mistakes were made.
They didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
They didn't offend anyone.
You absolutely, no creator, and I'll say this unequivocally across the board, no creator ever has to apologize for what they've created.
Exactly.
Should he have apologized about the crappiness of the canvas bags? That's a different type of that's a different question. But what you create is your creation. If it's a bad creation, you can own up to your mistakes and say, yeah, mistakes were made. We're sorry. You don't have to say we're sorry, but like, we are disappointed as much as you are that this was not well received. But you never have to say, I'm sorry I made choices.
Right.
I made artistic choices. So I'm saying that across the board. But I agree with you. I was excited to see him say, hey, we had a rocky start. We may have made mistakes.
He actually said stuff like, we're surprised you decided to come here now. Like, we're surprised you're here with us. Like, you're still playing. We're surprised.
So
we heard your criticisms.
That was cool. Yep.
And we know you're like, he said these things. He basically, without apologizing, kind of just like, hey, this is what happened. We acknowledge it. We're getting ahead of it. And this is what we're doing.
Which is just so refreshing considering the way that, EA didn't handle it at all with Anthem.
It was perfect.
And the way that BioWare has just tried to, like, through whether it's ego, and that's the thing is like I hate ego. I hate the sort of like we're awesome and we're not going to acknowledge things. Instead, being a little humble, eating a little bit of humble pie, and saying,
and I think,
this didn't go the way we wanted
has
to.
the PR ego going on
for sure
with Anthem.
Yeah. So sorry.
Yeah,
Carry on.
I'm extremely excited about Fallout 76's next update, the Wastelanders, and that is the NPCs are being added to the world. Which is fantastic. Dialogue choices are being added. That means they're showing new content. They're adding and polishing this game. I've been playing it, I wouldn't say extensively, but a lot lately. Yeah. And every single patch stuff is awesome. And they just came out with a new patch that improved all the combat, made it feel much less stiff, as you were talking about, alluded to earlier.
All right, well.
It feels way better. You can interrupt reloads. You can interrupt your shooting by sprinting. You can interrupt your reload by sprinting. And so all these little minor, like, quality of life improvements that you wouldn't expect that kind of made Fallout 76 feel sluggish. It's gone. So now the combat's it's snappy and it's tight. It's awesome. It feels so much better. It's awesome.
You're selling me a little.
Yeah, it's $10. You can get it right now on GameFly for $10.
I'm not 100% sold, but you're getting closer.
It's good.
It's a free update, right? The Wastelanders?
Everything's free. Everything is free. That's another thing that was hype, right?
Yeah,
it's all free. The new giant content, whole new single-player quest line that will add hours to the game with the NPCs and the new weapons and areas to explore. They're opening things up. Awesome. I'm super, super pumped. So that was one of my hype moments for Bethesda.
Cool.
And my next hype moment was Doom Eternal.
And they ended on that, didn't they?
They did. So I probably shouldn't say that yet because I'm kind of going order the conference. So they showed a game called Ghostwire Tokyo, which at first I was like, what is this? And it's kind of this weird, like, supernatural horror story that's taking place in, like, downtown Tokyo. The graphics for the trailer was, like, ridiculous. I'd never seen it, but it wasn't.
They brought out a female
developer
that everyone is, like, hyped about, and I don't understand the context of that. Do you know?
Other than she's a female developer and she was cute. Like cute Japanese, not. I
don't think that's why.
Attractive way.
I think she's notable for some reason. And I don't know why. So we need to research that. If you know, I couldn't tell you her name, but I know that she was associated with this Bethesda conference and this game called Tokyo. Was it Tokyo Ghostwire? For whatever reason,
Ghostwire
she's
Tokyo.
super notable. So if you happen to know what the context is, that is apparently a blank spot in both of our knowledges.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say this is a Kojima game. There's like cops that have samurai faces on with swords, and then they like ghosts fly around and their spirits get sucked out. It was this crazy, surreal kind of supernatural trailer.
That was totally a highlight for me as well.
It was a completely new IP.
Because it was something that I totally was like, I'm going to just take a look on this. Because again, new IP, it's something new. It's not just another Fallout game. It's not just another... It's not Starfield. We already know Starfield's coming. We already know Elder Scrolls 6 is coming. And granted, there's some reason to be excited about both of those games, but we already know they're coming as opposed to, boom, here's this new IP. Interesting IP that's made by Japanese developers that are licensed by Bethesda or whatever.
Which is a Western publisher.
It's great. Yeah.
Crazy.
So super interesting. Yeah. It has a lot of potential. We haven't seen any gameplay though, correct?
Right. Just a trailer. Yeah.
That's a knock against it, but nevertheless, still something to be looking forward to.
Followed up by another new IP called Deathloop, which seemed extremely compelling. This is a single-player story-type game where you relive a loop, and your two assassins are trying to kill each other.
Oh, yeah! I completely forgot about that. So wait...
And it looked like there's different ways to approach systems and scenarios. We don't know a whole lot because it's a new game, new IP, and new idea. So it seems like from complete speculation based on the trailer, it's like you're going to be able to replay the game but do it differently from each perspective. Yeah. And this could be a two-player thing, couch co-op, I'm not sure. Like
awesome
multiplayer.
If it was like
I'm going to hunt you down, but you're going to hunt me down.
If it was like a PvE where it's like
maybe you
play against, or even better, you choose one of the assassins and then they sneaky pair you online with someone who's the other assassin, but you don't know it. You think that they're just an NPC and that you're hunting them down.
It was the studio that made Dishonored.
There's a lot of that's right, Dishonored. And so I think a lot of people were comparing, or maybe they themselves came out and said that the gameplay feels much like Dishonored. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, yeah, it's
and Dishonored had like a replayability to it that you could play the entire game without killing anyone, like stealth, or you could shoot everyone up and just be action. And it was a completely different experience and different trophy set too. Yeah.
Apparently, the good ending.
I think Arcane Studios made
apparently the good ending is if you don't kill anybody.
Right. Yeah.
That's
super interested in both Deathloop and Tokyo.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
Tokyo.
There's not really much else.
And then they ended with Doom Eternal, which looked absolutely incredible. It met all of my expectations. The first Doom from 2016 was amazing, fast-paced, awesome, gory, in your face, not trying to hide it, not trying to polish. They're not trying to do anything dumb. It's just Doom. Yep. You're just killing a bunch of stuff, high, fast pace.
Doom. And it looks like more of that.
Yep.
More awesome Doom.
Yep.
More
double jumping with
gratuitous
grappling
violence,
hooks, chainsaws, double-barrel shotguns,
satisfying feel. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I'm down for Doom Eternal. I'm almost tempted to get it on Switch though. Having it to go sounds awesome.
It does.
Oh,
I know. But trophies.
But trophies. Of course you would say that.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That was what my hype was for Bethesda.
Sweet. Anything you were disappointed or that you felt was missing?
Because the next question is things that I don't care and what I don't care about.
Yeah.
I can't be disappointed by something that I didn't. Like, disappointment means an expectation wasn't met.
Sure,
So the stuff I didn't like, I didn't have any expectations for.
Disappointment would be like things that you thought might have been talked about that weren't. So, like, Were you disappointed that Starfield and or
Oh, no.
Elder Scrolls 6
because
weren't?
I didn't expect them to be there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I don't really have any disappointments for Bethesda.
Cool. All right.
Which might allude
Or
to
things
who
were
won
well,
E3.
maybe not disappointments, but things were missing. Yeah, no, I can see
Yeah.
that. So, what were you disappointed about that you didn't care about?
You
I
mean
should
things
say?
I don't care about?
Yeah,
Bad
what are
stuff.
things you don't care about?
The
Yeah.
Fallout 76 Battle Royale. I'm like, is that necessary? Like, why would you put resources into copying a Battle Royale mode?
That was going to be my big knock against
And I was like,
Fallout 76.
Like, everything else about Fallout 76 was amazing. All of the free content, all of the patch upgrades, the smoothness, the
NPCs,
polish.
all that stuff. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
and then they're like, also Battle Royale because of course.
The
we
only
have
thing
to
about
follow
that I like is they're opening up a new vault and they're making you the overseer of, or fight to be the overseer of it.
Yeah, but I think that the idea of the vaults makes more sense to me if you make those raids.
Like you go in and clear.
You go in and those people.
No, because the people were like held there in safety from the nukes.
Right, and then things go bad. Like, I mean, they could totally do a
that,
dystopian
sure.
thing
Yeah.
where things go bad.
One
in
vault
the
didn't seal correctly, and so radiation got in and mutated
Yep,
everyone.
or
and
even just
the
like
overseer of
the
the boss.
vaults are like, or the people inside the vaults have gone insane, and you have to put them down, and they drop cool loot.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. That'd be cool.
See, that would be
But
interesting.
I was not impressed by the Battle Royale. I just kind of rolled my eyes. It was like,
Yeah.
the song was cool. I mean, they played Johnny Cash, "Ring of Fire." And
It also is silly because it's like, it's,
and it shows-
you are going to be the overseer of the vault, so fight to the death. The logical jump there is a little nuts, but whatever.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Other things I just didn't care about were the Rage 2 DLC.
Right.
I was like, nah. And then
Rage 2 is so middling, you know.
It
I'm
was.
interested in it, but I want it on sale. I almost put it on my list to see if someone would grab it for me for my wish list, see if someone would grab it for my birthday, but I'm like, I don't want to make someone buy that
Yeah.
game for me. But yeah.
Their Rage 2 seemed like a bunch of pockets of Doom. It's
Yeah.
like Doom separated by emptiness.
Yeah.
And that's annoying.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. Anyway, way too much Elder Scrolls Online.
For people who are excited about it. I've actually heard some
Yeah.
decent things about Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh,
So
yeah, I have too.
I might not knock it, but I agree that I'm just not interested. So
I don't know because I don't have their view of the world and their IP. They might know how many people subscribe to ESO and how much hype there is for it and allocated space in this conference to reflect that. But there was in my opinion, way too much ESO. It was a huge, long cinematic trailer with an extra discussion, expansion, all this stuff, and it seemed like it just went on and on and on. And I don't know if it's because I wasn't excited about it or if it was actually too long.
the MMO space is just, as we've talked about in previous episodes, is in a weird place right now.
Yeah.
The majority of the MMO audience has moved on to GAAS games like Destiny, I feel like. And I feel like those are the ones that are succiding right now.
Yeah, because it's
They're
like,
either, I'll say this, they're either stuck in WoW or they've moved on to a GAAS looter shooter like Destiny. I feel like those are the only two MMO-like experiences that are being talked about right now. And we'll see what effect WoW Classic has on that. But
yeah, I
that's
mean,
a whole
World of
different
Warcraft
discussion
came
for
out
another time.
when I was in
2004, yeah.
high school. I graduated high school in 04. So the college kids of my generation were obsessed with WoW.
Yeah.
And that generation, I feel like, and this could just be my speculation,
Sure.
that age group from 17 to 25 was the most of WoW subscribers. Well, they've now aged into their 30s. They have less time to play. They have kids and families. Now they're gravitating to games as a service because it is an MMO light.
It's like
The
it gives you the
Division,
feeling
Destiny
of
2,
getting
right.
a raid, but also it's a little bit more accessible and less time consuming.
I don't know because that's just my
Sure.
speculation
No,
of the market.
I think that's probably
But the people who still
broad
play
strokes.
MMOs are what's left, and they're the hardcore niche crowd.
Yeah. Well, it's just I think about all the MMO competitors, like the WoW competitors right now, and it's like none of them really like proper MMOs. I'll say if you take Destiny out of the picture, if you take the Division out of the picture, what you're left with is the proper. If you were to say proper MMOs, you've got Guild Wars 2. You've got Elder Scrolls Online, and you've got just a smattering of others, and
Final
none
Fantasy
of them.
XIV is
Final
huge.
Fantasy 14 is I would say actually Final Fantasy 14, if I were to correct myself, would be the next biggest.
Yeah.
But even then, nothing really holds a candle to WoW, and then even WoW is just struggling right
Yeah,
now.
they are.
So, anyways, that's a whole side conversation. But
Which we just had.
which we just had, yeah.
And then the worst thing that happened this entire E3 happened, and that was the Commander Keen announcement.
So disappointing. That game franchise was awesome back in the 90s.
And now it's this childish mobile game.
It was for context, Commander Keen is a game that I played extensively as a kid.
Did you?
It was
I knew it was a 90s game.
it was the Mario of PC.
Yeah.
It was the PC Mario, basically. Like,
That's awesome. I didn't know anyone that had ever played it.
Yeah,
I
it was
didn't know
an
this.
exceptionally awesome platformer
Yeah.
for PC. and now it's a mobile game.
Did you see the footage of what it looks like?
I did. It looks so bad.
Yeah.
I fast forwarded through much of the footage of it because it was so disappointing.
Yeah.
And I didn't want my soul to hurt any more than it already did
They
watching this game get butchered.
Yep.
For those, anybody who wants to know what Commander Keen is supposed to be, apparently the collection is on sale.
Goodoldgames.com?
I guess, yeah. Grab it. And play it on your, again, you don't even need like a half good PC to play it. You can play it on whatever clunker you have.
Yeah.
So fire up your old PC gaming. This is my endorsement of PC gaming for the night. Fire up your old PC games and play some Commander Keen. It's
after 2 hours of configuring your computer, installing your drivers, and making sure it all works.
I remember running that game out of DOS. I remember launching DOS into CommanderKeen.exe, boom, and that's how I played that game.
And make sure you got your DOS box, your emulator, working on Windows 10.
I'm sure they have a way of playing it now without it. Yeah. Anyways, cool. Well, great. Anything else you were...
overall performance, strong showing of games, hyped about Fallout. Like I said, way too much Elder Scrolls. Commander King was annoying. I would rate them like a B+ overall. Good show. I was hyped. I was intrigued. I loved live tweeting it.
Yeah.
So,
I would counter with maybe like a C. I was just like, I fast forwarded through much of it. And part of it is I'm a little biased because I just don't have a lot that I care about from Bethesda.
Except for Doom.
Yeah. Really Doom is my bae for Bethesda. Again, the Tokyo thing was... the reason I wouldn't give it a D or an F is because the Tokyo game looks intriguing, but without seeing gameplay, I can't really formulate an opinion. And, I don't know, maybe one day I'll get into Fallout. I'm trying. I'm genuinely trying, guys. I genuinely want to understand Fallout.
I hated 3. I hated it.
I have considered.
But I loved 4.
I have 4. I bought it for $15. So to justify my purchase, I feel like I need to just give it the good old college
PC?
try. No, on PlayStation.
Okay.
I just need
physical copy.
No, I have a digital copy. So I need to. I'm in a lull for gaming right now. So I'm thinking that's one of the games I've been considering picking up again. So I'm trying, guys. But right now, I just still don't care that much about Fallout, and that was heavily featured. So I was hyped about the Doom stuff. But again, back to my point, I already knew about Doom. I already know about Doom. I've seen enough footage to be sold on Doom, so I didn't really need to see more footage on Doom.
Right. I have to mention this.
Sure, go ahead.
Pete Hines came out and showed off a convention, a massive Bethesda convention. Do you know what I'm talking about? What is the name of this convention? It is the biggest id Software convention of the year. It's like BlizzCon.
DoomCon?
That's what it is now. What did it used to be?
No, I don't know.
QuakeCon.
They
have nixed. It's gone. They've nixed QuakeCon. So Bethesda had most hype throughout the entire conference. Like, people were cheering. They loved everything. There's so much for every audience. The downer, like crickets, was when he said, we removed Quake and replaced it with Doom. DoomCon. No one made a sound. It was like... You could hear this ripple in the gaming industry because QuakeCon is so big.
Yeah, people love it.
QuakeCon is like BlizzCon level of hype. Yeah. And you have a massive community of people who did not want to see that
Doom is a phenomenal game, but Quake is like foundation. I mean, both games are foundational, but like they meet different needs.
Yeah.
Doom has the single player awesome rooted in PC awesomeness factor, and Quake is like, it was the spin-off of Doom for multiplayer, which filled a whole different niche.
Right.
So it's like, you're trying to replace one niche with another, and that doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
And they showed, and that announcement was right after Doom Eternal's multiplayer was shown off, and it was very Quake. It was extremely Quake. It was like, here's our new. They've all but explicitly stated Quake is no more.
Yeah, it's like trying to replace Reddit with Instagram, being like, hey, Reddit's no longer a thing. Instead, here's an Instagram clone.
Yeah.
It's like, no, those have they fulfill two different points and purposes. One is a discussion board, and one is a place to share your images.
You're like, what's going to happen?
That's exactly what it is. Anyways,
so.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's a sad thing. Anyways, cool. All right, well, let's move on to the next conference, which
Ubisoft.
happened, was that Monday morning?
Yes.
I don't remember
Monday
when it was.
afternoon? Maybe Monday at 4.
Yeah,
it was Monday at 4.
Monday at 4. Ubisoft.
Yes.
Makers of Assassin's Creed and others.
Lots of others.
Really, it's just...
all things Tom Clancy, Assassin's Creed.
True, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool.
For Honor.
All right. Well, what are you happy about?
I saw the trailer. I did not watch the conference. I missed it entirely. Work has been insane.
Yeah.
I haven't even had the chance to make it up and watch it later. So I caught some of the trailers of some of the things I thought I might care about by reading a synopsis.
Cool.
Gods and Monsters looked good from the makers of Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
It showed
Although I watched the I watched the guy came out and he's like, it's from the makers of Assassin's Creed, right? So he's talking about Assassin's Creed. And he's like, we have spent so much time doing realistic historical fiction. He's like, and what we can't do in that, he's like, we were sitting there thinking, we want to play, he's like French, I think, so I'm doing a bit of a French accent. And he's like, we want to play a game where you could, like, delve into the mythology of these worlds, and there needs to be a game where you can play these gods and these heroes. And the entire time I'm thinking, if only there was a game that delved deeply into Greek mythology.
It's like you're describing
God of War. God of War.
Yeah.
Like you're literally describing God of War. It's fine if they want to do their take on Greek mythology. Right. There's no God of War Santa Monica Studios has no exclusive right to that.
Nope.
But I just thought it was kind of ironic. I was cracking up about that, but yeah, no, it looks good. It looks like they're trying to capture. It looks like they're trying to marry Assassin's Creed with Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
So it looks like it's
a great description.
It's the art style looks very Breath of the Wild. It looked like being in a painting. They even showed like a painting, and then it merged into the game.
It became the game,
and so it's like some kind of you're a hero on the Elysian Fields. You know,
and then we saw Pitt. He looked just like Pitt. He had the same weapon too. And then we saw a Valkyrie from God of War. Yeah, and Pitt was fighting this Valkyrie.
Yeah, he's exaggerating, but it was some bird monster that our heroic Pericles looking character slayed. The trailer, all we know is the trailer was like, when the heroes of the world have problems, they call upon the gods. When the gods have problems, they call upon you. And then he attacked a bird. That's all we know about it at this point. Yep. But
that's cool.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Sounds like it could be. Yeah.
It set the tone and what kind of game it'll be. So.
Yeah. There was I was kind of like, ooh, a Breath of the Wild replacement. And I was kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
Until later in the discussion. When I became less excited about that. You had another...
I do. I'm excited about Rainbow Six Quarantine. Back to co-op. So Rainbow Six, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Rainbow Six 3 was for the original Xbox. I played that with Rainbow Six 3's expansion called Black Arrow. I think I still have it on the shelf over there. And followed up by Rainbow Six Vegas, which I loved. Running into a casino and just like shooting everything. We had a friend of ours who played co-op who would just throw grenades everywhere. Everyone would die. It was hilarious. Like just getting into those kind of moments and having that with friends was fantastic. His name is John Powell. I don't know if he listens or not. Shout out to you, John. I don't think he listens to us though.
Oh, he
but
should.
People who listen to this podcast know who he is, and he was notorious for just running in and screaming "Mahmoud," which was what one of the characters would say in the game, and throwing grenades everywhere. It was hysterical. Anyway, those moments I love about Rainbow Six. We haven't seen that in a Rainbow Six game since. The latest one is Rainbow Six Siege, is nothing like that. So now that they're going back to a co-op experience, I'm excited about it.
Sweet.
Yep.
I am excited about the new Watch Dogs. I think that
really, I
like what they showed. Again, it could end up being watered down and not interesting.
Yeah.
But I like that idea of basically they showed Watch Dogs Legion, and in the new game you can recruit. It's a big open world. We're trying to take down this oppressive governmental regime in London this time, and the whole idea is like, there's permadeath, so they've included incorporated gameplay mechanics reminiscent of roguelikes into a AAA open world game. It's awesome. And then B, I've always found the idea of like permanent death for characters intriguing. If your character dies, he's dead. But the whole idea of the game is you're recruiting a team, and you can literally recruit any NPC that you come across. Maybe that's not like enemy NPCs, but like the idea is the population of London is your main character.
Yeah.
Like there's no central main character. You like recruit your team based on who you run across.
All NPCs are playable.
Yeah.
But I didn't know there was no protagonist.
No, there's no singular protagonist as far as I can tell.
Yeesh.
And you basically build your own team. Could be a complete flop. Could be incredibly interesting.
It's never been done.
Could be It could be one of those things that completely changes how games
no wonder
are
there's
played.
permadeath.
Yeah.
Because you just grab some other NPC and just move on.
That's the whole point, and that's what they showed off. Is
Okay.
they showed off this like so. First, you think that your main character is this guy, and he goes around. He's like, "Oh, we need to recruit someone," so he's like focusing on recruiting. But then he gets into trouble, gets shot down by some drones, and then it says permadeath, and the character is like dead forever. And then it like zooms into another person, and it's like, "Oh, hey, we need you to pick up where this guy left off and go like recruit this guy." And then some old lady.
I saw the different classes or whatever you call it, different archetypes that were there, and I was like, okay. But if you can play as every NPC and they just die, you just get another NPC, that almost like, I like being attached to the protagonist. There's no protagonist. I'm not going to be attached to any NPC. I'm not going to be attached to anything because I know they're all they're all temporary. They're just
I think
shells,
that I totally see what you're saying, but I think that if they do it right,
it could be good.
There's the sense of
It could be good.
like, okay, I spent time, I sacrificed all these people to get you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to recruit you, this particular character. So I can see maybe being invested from the point of I poured work into trying to recruit you. So
but
there may be a sense of ownership.
What are you
of
getting
your
out
team.
of it? Are these NPCs going to have a story?
It's like
name?
think about like I know that like the characters in Final Fantasy are like set characters, but at the same time, you're invested in them because they're your team and you've poured time into them.
Yeah.
Think if you actually legitimately had to pour time into building your team as well. You
Right.
care so much about those people. Think of all the riffraff and trash that you pass on the street. Like, I want that, I want that, I want you. Like, I don't know,
but
there's a sense of
I would
ownership.
want a person in this type of game. I would want to recruit a specific individual, maybe because of their backstory, something I can relate to. But if they're all NPCs, unless they've programmed backstory and names and full-fledged like dialogue choices into every NPC in the game,
they've programmed
how
a
deep
lot.
are these characters going to be?
I don't know. We'll see. It may be an algorithm that does a lot of that.
Procedurally generated characters
until we see it.
Until
we see it, all we have is the idea, the concept,
Yeah.
and the concept to me is intriguing. So
I do like the fact that this has never been done. It's innovative. I'm intrigued in that fashion too, but I fear it's just going to be a whole bunch of shallow NPCs that no one really cares. You just jump between characters infinitely until you get to the end of the game.
Yeah, I see. I think there's enough opportunity for imagination to fill in the blanks that you need, which is to me the right amount of panache.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sold on it. I'm gonna need to see the reviews.
Yeah.
I do think the idea is enough for me to put it in the hyped. It was definitely the highlight of the Ubisoft, and I liked it too because I didn't expect it. I haven't played any of the Watch Dogs games, have heard good things about them, but never played them. It definitely was I'm surprised that I'm into that kind of thing. So definitely the highlight for me. Maybe even the highlight of E3, but we'll talk about that
Wow,
later.
you liked it that much?
I thought it was such a good idea. I think it's such a cool concept that I never would have expected I would have liked.
Interesting.
So,
all right.
cool. All right. Anything else you want to talk about in hype?
Nope.
All right. Disappointment. What was missing?
There's no Nintendo crossovers this year. Last year we had Starlink, the whole Star Fox thing, Toys to Life crossover. And the year before that we had Mario Raging Rabbids. And Shigeru Miyamoto showed up for both and was called out in the Ubisoft press conferences. And this year, no Nintendo.
Yeah.
That's my disappointment.
That's fine. I don't care. I wouldn't have expected that necessarily.
Yeah.
Though
2 years in a row they was there.
I'm not disappointed,
They
but
were there.
They definitely didn't really have a strong Assassin's Creed presence this year.
That's because they took a year off. They're going to focus on DLC.
Oh, well, that's fine. I don't really care. They showed a Assassin's Creed builder, quest builder.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Which, this is an example of something that, cool idea, probably not going to nail the execution. I would expect, if that idea had been presented by a different developer, I would have been sold. CD Projekt Red said they're making a game where you can build quests for other people.
That'd be
yes,
nuts.
100% in.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed doing that, meh. So I fully expected them to announce another Assassin's Creed game, but they didn't. But that's fine. Cool.
Yep.
All right. Great. Anything you don't care about?
Watch Dogs Legion.
There's a point we disagree. Yeah, it's good. We disagree on
yeah,
something.
we do. I really
fine.
was not impressed by that at all. But I never played any of the Watch Dogs either, so I'm not attached to the franchise whatsoever. Watch Dogs 2 seemed very compelling, and I just missed it.
Yeah.
I saw the Ghost Recon Breakpoint stuff, and I just see the Punisher and the guy from Walking Dead, I don't know his name, grunting a lot, and I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I will say that I generally don't care about anything with Tom Clancy's name attached to it. I'm sorry for all fans out there. That is my just personal opinion. Never cared for Splinter Cell. Never care. Ghost Recon, Breakpoint, The Division. The only one of those that I'm even remotely interested in is The Division, and that's because of its MMO-ish.
Right.
But
Rainbow Six.
I'm glad that I didn't impulsive. I'm glad I resisted my impulses to get into that just because of my disappointment over Anthem.
Yeah.
Again, I'm happy that it's a fine designed game, but from what I've heard about the loot, it's just disappointing compared to its competitors. So,
Interesting.
So yeah, anything Tom Clancy is not something that's going to immediately draw my attention. And literally, that was the meat of their conference. They highlighted 3 Tom Clancy games:
The Division,
Breakpoint, and
Quarantine,
Rainbow Six. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Just
I mean, Tom
don't
Clancy's
care.
huge for Ubisoft. That's a huge get for them.
Yeah. But
And I'm with you. Most of Tom Clancy stuff is not okay. I like Rainbow Six. I did not like
fine.
Siege.
Uh-huh.
I don't like any Ghost Recon, so it's
Yep.
fine. Whatever. And I played the first Division. It was fine. I didn't play a whole lot of it. I wish I could have had more time. And I wanted to play the second. I almost impulse bought it.
Yeah.
But I was saved by Fallout 76.
Uh-huh.
So that happened.
Yeah.
And I was also not caring about Roller Champions.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Whatever.
Really? A
Yeah.
Rocket League roller derby game?
Yeah. Whatever. Whatever. Yep.
Yep.
Very much
I was
so.
also kind of disappointed that there was no... I thought of it just a second ago and I lost it. No Splinter Cell. You mentioned Splinter Cell. I hated that game when it first came out. I hated all versions of them when they came out, except for Conviction, which was a 360 PS3 era one. It's not their newest one, but it's like second to newest one.
Okay.
That seemed really cool. And I did play a little of it and liked it, but never got into it.
Yeah.
I was really hoping for a full reboot of Splinter Cell. Like, here's Sam Fisher, lights go out, like night vision goggles kick on. Whee!
Well,
and, like,
maybe
this
they
awesome
caught
hype
wind of the
moment.
fact that they've already highlighted 3 Tom
Yeah,
Clancy games,
probably.
and that might have just been Tom Clancy saturation. But
That would have been cool
I
because
understand. Yeah.
I'm a different gamer now. Like I said, I hated Fallout 3, but loved 4. I hated Skyrim, but loved The Witcher 3. So I want to try Splinter Cell again, but in a modern form because I don't think I could get into the original one. It's just too dated.
Understood.
It didn't age well. But anyway, that was another disappointment for me.
Okay, overall performance of Ubisoft.
Meh.
I would agree, only
D.
because there were some like highs and lows.
Yeah.
There were things that intrigued me, but things that just overwhelmingly bored me. I skipped the majority of their conference, which said something.
Yeah.
I was keyed in at the beginning. I was keyed in at the end. Everything in the middle was such a poor
Didn't they bring a
show.
dog out on stage?
Apparently.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
I will say, sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
One of the things I've hyped about. Sorry, this is balancing out maybe into a little bit more than meh, into a like, okay. Rob McElhenney came out and announced a TV show.
Oh, yeah, with
About
Always Sunny Philadelphia
Yeah,
people.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
But this is a video game
It
conference.
also has
Get out of here with your
Danny
TV
Pudi.
shows.
No, I disagree. I say yes, it's a video game conference, but it's multimedia. If freaking Microsoft could get everyone to bring the house down with Keanu Reeves, then Rob McElhenney.
But Keanu Reeves was in a video game.
But Rob McElhenney receives at least an iota of respect for his work on Sunny, and the fact that
definitely that.
he's making a comedy about video games. I think that's fun and exciting.
There's the link.
And Ubisoft has partnered with them. It's a game. The only weird thing is that it's a game about an MMO.
Uh-huh.
And Ubisoft, as far as to my knowledge, has not really made any actual proper MMOs.
Not that I'm aware of.
This game is supposed to be like it is a TV show basically about a World of Warcraft clone. And
all of this sounds great.
Yeah.
I just don't think it belonged at E3.
I disagree. I think that there's plenty of room for things like that, and
guess
especially
so.
considering they partnered with him.
Yeah.
And so a comedy. The only downside is it's showing up on Apple TV Plus, which is a subscription service
Seriously?
I have zero interest in.
Not
So-
Netflix, not Amazon
No,
Prime.
not Netflix, not Hulu, not Amazon,
Really?
not HBO.
Well, I'll never see it then.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the disappointing thing. So everything kind of balances. Again, I'm with Ubisoft the entire time I was playing a balancing act. It was like, oh, Watch Dogs, awesome. Oh, Mystic Quest, Rob McElhenney TV show, sweet. Oh, Gods and Monsters, cool. Oh, lots of Tom Clancy. Oh, Apple TV Plus. Oh, no gameplay for that other cool game. So lots of cool, cool. There's nothing like, oh, okay. So very meh, I would agree. So,
Yep.
All right, cool. Spent a little bit more time than I wanted to on that one. Let's hit
Square Enix.
We're ending on two good
gosh.
ones. We're ending on two exciting ones.
Yes.
So I feel like these are the highlights of E3
gosh.
for me. So let's talk about Square Enix.
Yeah. Oh my! They opened with the Final Fantasy VII remake, and my jaw. I live tweeted this one, so I was right there with it the whole time. My jaw hit the floor. Final Fantasy VII is my single most favorite video game of all time.
Yeah.
Single most favorite video game of all time, and my jaw hit the floor. I almost got emotional of excitement. I've never had that kind of visceral reaction to a video game announcement before, except for this. Like, even Zelda hasn't gotten me that hyped.
Yeah.
I was elated
Yeah.
at everything they showed.
Yeah.
They did deep dives into the combat system. I was in.
Yeah,
Yes.
let me nail in the combat system really quick.
Yeah.
I was worried about this remake for it being, I was worried that it was going to be this overly complicated JRPG combat overhaul, and contrasting that to how simple and crisp Final Fantasy's just simple turn-based, Final Fantasy VII simple turn-based combat was.
Yeah.
I was getting really worried from some of the other trailers they showed.
Yeah.
When they deep dived into it and said, you're going to have a primary attack. That primary attack is going to build an ATB gauge that will allow you to do bullet time essentially and pick your action.
Yep.
That makes it feel more it makes it feel like a really clean marriage of turn-based with live action, and then the depth element of switching between characters and strategizing that way. I was sold. 100%. I'm like, this sounds like fun.
Yes.
This sounds like exactly what I was hoping out of the combat, and this is the standard of combat I hope they move forward with in every Final Fantasy going forward.
And I said this in the pre-show, and I'll continue to say it now because it's a hype moment. I wanted to see more characters, and Tifa specifically.
They showed Tifa
and they finally showed Tifa, and there was actually some footage of Tifa, Aeris, and Cloud in the sewers, which means it's right after the wall market scene. I was so pumped. They went crazy with the monsters. Like, you fight a house in that game with rockets, like right after a really touching scene with Marlene and Barrett, and then there's a house that's ridiculous. But it looked like from the monsters they showed in the sewers, they're still going crazy.
Yeah.
They're not like they're just leaning into that.
Yeah, the whole game takes place in Midgar, so they've like elaborated on that entire, like they've fleshed that out. So I'm really interested to see story-wise what they kind of extrapolate plot-wise from what ultimately was like a seventh of the game in the original.
Yeah, and they said it was going to be over 2 Blu-rays, which means it's a
huge
it's
game. Big game.
Yeah. And they've said it's just Midgar. They did not confirm what's coming next because they quote said they don't know yet. They actually said that. So this is Final Fantasy VII Midgar. And what does that mean for character progression? Do you get Ultima Weapon and Omni Slash in Shinra Tower or on the motorcycle escape scene?
I genuinely hope that, like, honestly,
who knows?
Honestly, I hope they don't make you change weapons. Honestly, I would rather not see a weapon and
they showed change.
Did they see
Cloud showed
weapons?
There's a weapon that looks like it has like a hammerhead shark head. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like it showed that sword. It was one of the early weapons, but it wasn't the Buster Sword.
I like the Buster Sword though, and the Buster Sword's so iconic that.
And they showed that there's materia in the weapons now, which is
cool.
awesome. So I'm hoping all the gear changes. You can see the different materia that you put on in there, with even their armor is like bangles, like armbands and stuff. I hope they show the materia that you equip in there live.
They will. Yeah.
It's like everything about this game that they showed is surpassing by far my expectation.
Yeah,
because
it looks great.
It started out with a rough development cycle. They outsourced the development to a different company, Square Enix, and they canned it all. They fired the company and they brought all the development in-house like 3 years into the development cycle. This game has been announced 4 years ago.
I will say this game is
so troubled.
This game is one of 2 games for me that I saw and am now like, I'm just slightly less excited about Borderlands because I'm excited about playing this game past Borderlands. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, this is one of the games that has shaked my unwavering excitement in Borderlands 3. I'm still hyped and excited about Borderlands 3. Don't get me wrong, guys. But this is one of those games like, I'll be playing that after when that comes out. I will put if I'm still playing Borderlands 3 in March of 2020, I will be putting it aside to play Final Fantasy 7.
Yes.
For sure. So
the soundtrack was amazing, orchestral, like,
I'm going to
remixes.
stop you real quick because we could wax eloquent for hours on Final Fantasy 7.
Oh,
so
it was so good.
Everything about it looks great. Sound, graphics,
single
combat.
best video game of E3 for me.
Okay, yeah.
And Cyberpunk was last year, and Cyberpunk was revealed this year, so that's still a close second. But this was the game that took the show for me.
It didn't take the show for me, but we'll get there.
All right.
So
I'm just going to call it out now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Great. What else were you hyped about?
They showed Final Fantasy VIII finally coming to PS4, Xbox One, everything else. That's been the one port that's been missing from all of
because
the
apparently
ports.
they lost the code.
That's also that's a rumor.
That's the rumor.
And there's also a licensing thing. I don't know what that means because I'm not in there. But apparently there was a whole bunch of things.
Are you going to play Final Fantasy VIII?
I will. I will play the only because they have the fast forward thing. There's some of the cheats that you can like always do 4-9 damage. You get the fast forward. You can just go through the game really fast.
Yeah, just to get the experience.
When I first played it on PlayStation, I hated it, and I only got through like the third disc, and I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
It?
I hated the battle system. I hated the draw system, and I hated the summons. I hated all this. Like, each character has like 4 weapons. I like 9. Final Fantasy 9 and 7. You just constantly change your weapons. I love like getting to a new town and getting new gear. 8 didn't have any of that. So we can do a whole podcast about Final Fantasy VIII and how I hated it. But I would play this one. You can fast forward through everything. You can get just the story and get the baseline game and get through it. And I can finally learn why it's so good and why people love it so much. So I was excited about that.
Or not. Maybe you won't. Maybe you just
Maybe I'll still hate it.
Yep.
But I can't remember anything about the story at all. And then Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Dude.
I want to play it so bad.
Me too.
I want to so bad. You don't know because I
have it.
I own it. I own it on GameCube, and I only ever played it with another person once, and we didn't get that far. Wow. And I had friends, my group of friends. I joined my group of friends. I met my group of friends. Shout out to Chris, Justin, and Jared. And these guys I got really close to in high school later, and we were like big WoW friends together. These are the guys I played WoW with. I joined their group of friends right after they had spent years playing Crystal Chronicles together. 4-player Crystal Chronicles. Before me, they had someone else playing with them. And
Game Boy Advances for controllers.
Missed it. I had all of it. I had the game. I had the Game Boy Advance. I had everything I needed to play with them, and missed out it entirely.
You can play with me anytime you want.
I do. I want to play Crystal Chronicles with people, and I want it to be a thing.
I'm dying to play it
I'm
again.
Excited. Yeah, I'm
I
excited.
played it a little bit when it first came out. I think we rented it a few times.
Yeah.
I had the Game Boy Advance and the link cables and played it with friends a couple times. Super intrigued and dying to get back into it. I might actually pick up a copy on eBay. It's like $12. Nice. Cheap.
Or you can I can come over and...
Yeah, do it. Let's go. Let's
I literally own the freaking game.
This is the next game I'm talking about is a mixed disappointment and hype, so it's a good segue. Okay. Unless you want to go into your hype first.
No. Well, do you want to talk about Avengers?
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC.
Did you not talk about Avengers?
Not yet.
Were you not hyped about it? It's listed under your hypes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's in the middle. I was trying to go in order of the show, and I'm looking at my notes, and I was like...
That's fine. Yeah.
My notes are not in order. I was trying to go in order, and I skipped over the Avengers and went left to right and reached a new line. It was like, oh, I'm done. Yeah. But I'm not.
Let's talk about Avengers real quick, because we're hyped. We're both hyped about it.
We are. It looked good.
It looked good. I will say with a caveat of what they showed looked like, some of it looked like gameplay, and if what they showed that was supposed to be gameplay is actually indicative of what the gameplay's going to look like, looks great. Iron Man looked a lot like Anthem. Thor looked a lot like God of War. Hulk smashed a lot of stuff.
Yep.
That sounds cool.
All of it sounds good. Single player.
But we don't know.
It's a story-driven game, so PvE.
Yeah.
It is co-op. But they've mentioned some games as a servicey type of things.
Yeah, that
they're
you'll be
able to add stuff on. They said all DLC's free, no season passes
here and there as they go.
Customizable characters.
I'm just saying that we didn't actually see 100% this is gameplay. This is reminiscent of what you're going to see, and that's disappointing. Apparently, a bunch of people are disappointed about the fact that it looks enough like Marvel's Cinematic Universe Avengers, but also not enough like it that the discombobulation of this is clearly the design of Captain America's suit that is reminiscent of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the render of his character doesn't look like Chris Evans.
I see. Yeah, that's true.
It's true. That is and I can understand how people would criticize that, but when you also consider the fact that Troy Baker and
this is totally Uncharted Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, Troy Baker, Nola North, Laura Bailey. There's so many good voice actors that I'm let them do their own interpretation of it. And if that interpretation is very clearly inspired by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's also fine. Spider-Man PS4 very clearly draws a lot from Spider-Man Homecoming, and yet Peter Parker doesn't look anything like Tom Holland. Right. That's fine. That's okay.
Yep.
So I feel like people need to be a little more open-minded about that.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. I'm in.
It looks like it could be good. It has a lot of potential red flags to me, but it also has...
They highlighted character customization, which kind of leans into the microtransaction discussion, but cosmetics only, so that's good. And...
Well, I think I saw people on the Anthem forums comparing the promises that Crystal Dynamics has made with Avengers to the promises that BioWare made with Anthem.
The difference is how many flops has BioWare had, how many flops did Crystal Dynamics have? BioWare came right off the heels of Mass Effect Andromeda.
I don't know about either of them enough.
And Crystal Dynamics has not had a flop. Yeah. Everything they make is awesome.
Yeah, I can see that. But anyways, we'll see. We'll just have to see. I want to see more. I'm not going to pre-order it until I know for sure.
Here.
I'll put it on my wish list, but I'm not going to pre-order it.
Yep.
So
same here.
Cool. All right. What were you just abjectly disappointed with?
I was disappointed with and hyped about Kingdom Hearts DLC. What they showed us was this weird no sound effect trailer with some text in it that introduced an entirely new member of Organization 13 that we don't know anything about. I think his name is Luxord. no one knows who that is, and I guess that's the point of the DLC. And you get to play as Roxas, which was awesome, and you get to play as Aqua, which was cool. And I love playing as Aqua, and I want more of that because you actually do that in the main game.
Yeah.
You never get to play as Roxas. That's cool. And Riku. So playing as different characters, I love. It showed this like final battle scene with Sora again, and I don't know what was different about that. Maybe new weapons or something. But so it was like, yeah, I was really hyped about Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC. Yes, but what they showed wasn't enough to like. I'm gonna play it because it's awesome. Sure. But I wasn't excited.
What is it? Remind?
Yeah.
Mind, so regarding mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a dumb name.
Weird.
Whatever.
382 over 2.
I've never gotten into Kingdom Hearts. I want to, but I've never gotten into it.
I love Kingdom Hearts.
I'm probably going to grab a game from you today.
You have so many.
I know.
I
gave you back Lost Legacy.
I didn't mean that you have so many of my games. I said there are so many of my games that you want to borrow.
Yeah, it's funny. Cool. I don't really have anything in there that I'm like super disappointed about. I don't really care enough about a lot of Square Enix games that I'm disappointed about anything. So we'll see. So speaking of don't care, what else do you don't care about?
Before I do that, there was one last thing. Was the collection of mana is announced for all the consoles that's coming out, all the Secret of Mana games, including the third one, which was never released in the West ever.
I thought that was during the Nintendo press conference they announced all that.
Was it really?
I'm 90% sure that was because I'm pretty sure I tweeted about it.
Okay.
And then realized I probably shouldn't have tweeted about this because I don't care.
Oh, I'm extremely excited about that.
It's still a Square Enix thing, yeah.
The third one has never been to the West. It's the Super Nintendo port, which is even better.
With Nintendo,
and there's a remake coming in 2020.
Cool.
So maybe it was Nintendo. Anyway, what did I not care about? I did not really care about the Final Fantasy XIV Stormbringers.
It's
it
funny,
went on way too long.
You don't care about it so much that you miss... It's not called Stormbringers. It's called Shadowbringers.
My bad.
Which is hilarious that you care so little about it that you didn't even mentally...
And I played that game. I got a max level character in that game. I loved Final Fantasy
Shadowbringers
14.
is funny because I've known about Shadowbringers for a while, and they also recently announced a new DLC for Destiny 2 called Shadowkeep, and they both seem so generic to me. Shadowkeep, Shadowbringers. Like, Lord... Like, if you called it Umbra Bringers, which is the same thing, an Umbra is the moon's shadow, and that sounds cooler than Shadowbringers, like, and you just named it so generic to me. But anyways, yeah, I agree with you. Like, I'm intrigued in Final Fantasy XIV as an MMO, but there's nothing about that expansion that I care about.
Yeah.
They're adding Khajiit? Is that what they're adding? Khajiit and another race, the bunny-eared people from 11 to the game, I think?
No, the bunny-eared people would be from 12. In Tactics.
Yeah, okay.
Which I'm cool. That's awesome.
They're adding them to the game.
Yeah,
great.
The game is awesome. Yoshida is amazing. He's the producer of that game, and he's done amazing work with it. Final Fantasy XIV is one of the most polished MMOs. I just don't care now.
Yeah.
And I think they spent a lot of time on that game announcement for an expansion.
Yeah.
Life is Strange 2, apparently that had already been announced, and it was already out. So why was that even there?
Right.
Circuit Superstars. I don't even remember what that was, but it was on a synopsis article I read. And I was like, okay, clearly I didn't care about that. Dying Light 2, they didn't really show much. It was another zombie game, so people were just like, more zombies. Okay.
Yeah. With
no gameplay footage, nothing exciting new to share about it. It's just like a zombie parkour game. I think that's what I tweeted. And The Last Remnant is being remastered, available today. It was a shadow drop. Well, yesterday, whenever.
Sure.
And I don't really know much about that, so I was like, okay, whatever.
There was a lot. My impression, and maybe I'll talk about this in my overall impressions, but it's also like, I just didn't care. There were so many, like, here's another freaking anime game that's JRPG, that's turn-based combat. Here's another freaking anime game that's turn-based combat. Like, I was just like, okay, Final Fantasy clone number 15. Like...
But wasn't there Dragon Warrior stuff too, or was that Nintendo?
That was Nintendo, but again, that's also Square Enix.
They did show a Dragon Warrior thing with Square Enix, because I remember I just saw this yesterday.
The something of a something age.
Yeah, that was the port for Switch.
I remember all of the pronouns of it or whatever.
Yep. Which, it looks cool. You can switch to the 16-bit graphics whenever you want, and that's cool.
I don't know. There's just so many Square Enix, Squaresoft JRPGs that all have turn-based combat that I'm just like... I'm not saying they're bad, I just don't care. So that's why they fall in the don't care category for me. But, all right, cool. Overall thoughts?
Square Enix is amazing. I thought it was a great conference. They had game announcements that were varied and catered to all audiences, pretty evenly split. There wasn't a giant segment of the show where I was, like, falling asleep.
Yeah.
And they had the major hype moments of Final Fantasy VII and the Avengers bookending that
Yep.
conference. So you had really strong beginning, really strong end, with enough meat in the middle that I cared about every other game or so I was in. That I thought it was a consistent conference. It was infinitely better than last year.
Oh, yeah.
Last year
Oh,
was
yeah.
one of the worst conferences ever
Bad.
in the
And
history
Shadow
of
of the
E3.
Tomb Raider is such a middling game, and that was their feature. That
and they
entire
showed
conference.
way too much gameplay of
Yep.
that during E3 last year. So I thought it was a major improvement. I give this one a A.
Nice. I would give this one like a B plus A. I will say the hype of both Avengers and Final Fantasy VII, to me, made up for a lot of the middling other stuff.
Yeah.
So I will say I skipped a lot of that conference too.
Mm-hmm.
But the moments that I was not skipping and was keyed into it, I was sold. I was like, give here money, take it. So
What are you going to do when we go to E3 next year and you can't skip it? Pull out your phone, take selfies?
Sure, yeah. That's when I'll
dancing around.
text my wife and ask for pictures of my son. Yeah. But yeah, that's how I felt about it. Honestly, they brought enough strong awesomeness that it made up for their middling stuff.
Yep.
So cool. All right, here
Our
we are.
beloved.
We've arrived. Our last
favorite.
conference for the day. We'll try to be as succinct as possible, knowing that, of course, we're also going to wax eloquent about some things. But we have reached Nintendo. It was the last press
Nintendo.
conference. Theirs was on
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
This is the last one. Yep.
At was it like 2:00 or something? Noon. It was noon
noon.
exactly.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I took lunch. And I got interrupted. So I apologize, guys. I really genuinely tried to live tweet this one, but I was in the middle of like a work emergency trying to help.
No.
I was trying to help balance a work emergency, and then I got a call from someone right around the time they were talking about Luigi's Mansion, and I was like, dang it. So I had to take that call. I had to be on that call for about 20 minutes. Came back in time, just enough in time for it to be over and me to catch up on the rest of it. But it was already over at that point.
Yeah.
All of my hot take live tweets would have been after the fact. There were still a couple of things that I went ahead and was like, this is worth tweeting about. But nevertheless, I missed it to do it live. So if you were trying to key into Penguin's live tweets, I failed you. I'm sorry. But that's what happens when you try to do it at noon on a Tuesday.
Yep.
So,
hey,
they love
our
you.
lives are not the podcast,
Yep,
unfortunately.
true.
We
Yep.
are real dudes, 9-to-5ers with families and kids.
Yep,
So
they love you. Maybe one year we'll actually be at E3 and have,
Next
PTO
year.
or whatever.
We'll
So,
be there.
Yeah, next year. All right, cool. So then, yes, Nintendo. What were you hyped about?
Going into it, I knew we were going to see more Luigi's Mansion 3,
Yep.
so I got it. It was awesome. Animal Crossing, New Horizons, officially announced. Amazing.
Got delayed,
Everything
though. I
it
can
did
see that
get
as
delayed.
being a disappointment, but
I'm
also
happy
like
about it. I'm cool with
I would
it.
rather you finish the game.
Well,
Yeah.
that's Nintendo.
Yep.
It's Miyamoto's quote
Yep.
was "Finished game is forever.
Yep.
An unfinished game is forever." I don't
Forever
remember the whole
bad,
quote. Yeah.
a finished game might
You guys
be good.
know it,
Yeah,
yeah.
you guys know it.
Link's Awakening was amazing. I love the show and the sounds and the visuals and everything about it was super nostalgic. I'm in. I pre-ordered it. It's awesome.
Okay, can I do the last two hypes you have listed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we both are hyped
So
about
they
this.
announced Penguin's prediction of them announcing 2 Smash characters was correct.
Yes.
The characters themselves and the order was incorrect.
Yes.
So I thought they might do a Smash character in one of the other press conferences.
Which
They
they
did
didn't.
not. But they started the press conference with
Warrior Dragon Quest.
Yeah. It's like all of the characters, so it's
Yeah.
going to be like Bowser Jr. where changing the costume
Right.
changes the kid, but they have the same moveset and everything.
I rolled my eyes hard.
I was like,
I knew it was coming.
I knew it was
like,
coming. I thought it was specifically going to be Edric, but it was like all of them. So that was
Isn't
the
it
only
just like
surprise.
a generic sword character to you? Like,
Yeah,
I'm just like,
it is.
we
It
already
is,
have
but I do
so
kind of
many.
like the RPG, like the JRPG. Like
Yeah.
you can like one of the moves is like you pull up a JRPG menu and
Yeah,
select an
that's
action
pretty
from
sweet,
it. That's pretty cool.
I'm gonna play him. Of course, I have the pass.
Of course,
so I'll check it out.
I am 100% like it just feels like another Fire Emblem character, but I felt that way and knew that was coming for a long
Yeah.
time. I'm
Yep,
excited
same
that
here.
Dragon Quest is getting some representation considering all the Fire Emblem characters we have.
Yeah.
And those two series, though different, I can see how people would, I would rather have Dragon Quest characters, a new Dragon Quest character in there than another Fire Emblem
I would rather have
character.
anything
Yeah.
other than a Fire Emblem character.
Yeah, exactly. And then the coup de grace, the hypest of the hype.
Duck Hunt?
Duck Hunt is back. No, they even designed the trailer after the most hype trailer of the first round of Smash character announcements.
Yeah.
So King K. Rool is arguably the most hyped character announcement they did before of the original lineup.
Donkey Kong and Diddy.
Where Donkey Kong and Diddy
in
and
the treehouse.
and then it was who trolled them again? Was it
I don't remember. DDD. It was
Yes,
DDD.
King DDD trolled them as disguised as King K. Rool. They did the exact same trailer, except King K. Rool was with them this time.
Yep.
But instead, we saw the silhouette of Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
And then he took the mask off and it was Duck Hunt. But at that point, everybody already knew, because based on the formula, that Banjo-Kazooie then came in, crushed Duck Hunt, and was officially announced as the first fully 100% Western character.
It happened
in Smash Bros. It's currently, the character is owned by Microsoft, made by Rareware, which is
all
UK
Western.
and all Western. So that barrier has finally been crushed. Termite can no longer say that Smash Bros. Is 100% Japanese characters.
Yeah.
The West has made its way into Smash with the best possible character they could have done it with, Banjo-Kazooie. So much hype. I'm so excited. Mostly I'm excited to be right. I'm less excited to play the character than I am that I'm right.
I'm very excited to play Banjo-Kazooie.
No, he looks awesome.
Yeah,
his
it's
moveset and
amazing.
everything looks
and his
so
stage
much fun.
And music and
He's
everything about him.
Perfect for Smash. Such a shoo-in. The character has been on Nintendo systems before. In fact, made his debut on N64. And I think everything about it is super exciting. Opens the door for so many possibilities. And I just think, he's a perfect character.
That's it. Like you said, all of the categories of characters that have been limited are gone.
And so I thought they were ending with that. And so again, I was on the phone on a work call, an emergency work call, and one of my coworkers comes in and goes, "It's official, Banjo's in Smash." I was like, yes. And then he said something else, and I was like, I didn't catch exactly what he said. So I went back and I watched it. The last thing they showed, not to be outdone by Smash Bros., the last thing they showed was a trailer for Breath of the Wild 2.
Yes.
I called it.
Yeah.
I want everyone to know that Penguin's other prediction was right, which is that they will be doing, and now my fully realized prediction is that they will be doing a Breath of the Wild trilogy, but that is further evidenced by the fact that they're doing a direct sequel follow-up. The only times in Zelda history they've done direct sequel follow-ups, what we mean by that is same character, same engine, same direct story.
Yeah.
The only times they've done that, I believe, are Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask. It's the same Link. Directly follows and uses the same engine. And then I think, is it Link to the Past and Link's Awakening that are direct sequel? Link's Awakening is a direct sequel. It's the same Link.
Kind of. Yeah, because he leaves and he's sailing and then the boat crashes and he gets knocked out and has a dream.
Yeah,
so
okay. All right. It's kind of.
Yeah.
But it's the same Link still. So, and they use the same engine, I'm assuming, to make that game?
Not at all.
Oh, completely different
Because
engine?
Link's Awakening was a Game Boy game.
Oh, okay. So
and Link to the Past is a Super Nintendo game.
Oh, yeah.
Totally
okay.
different.
Totally different.
Developers and everything.
Well, so then that doesn't even... So
but
the only time...
you have a little bit here in Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons being a sequel to Link's Awakening. Because it's all Game Boy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me. But also you have Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, which are the
were
Wind
Wind
Waker
Waker ones,
sequels. And
right.
that's similar art style and same Link.
Yeah.
So 3 games in the series.
All right.
Yep.
So it has been done a couple of times, but it's with the sort of less popular titles, not the mainline mainstream,
except for Majora's Mask
titles. So yeah, the only time it's been done in the mainline mainstream was Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
So like that jump, there's a lot of parallels people are drawing because like that jump,
it's very similar.
It's darker. So again, they haven't showed any gameplay. So I'll caveat by saying they showed no gameplay, which breaks one of my cardinal rules of E3 trailers.
But everything was in engine, which we know is in engine because we've played Breath of the Wild.
So we know already what to expect.
It's just cinema.
And they showed a cinematic. The things they did show was it's darker.
Way darker.
Breath of the Wild, for those who know, spoilers, you fight Ganon, the spirit of Ganon, which has become sort of this malevolent force more than an actual character, which I think was a knock against Breath of the Wild. But Breath of the Wild 2 is fixing that by bringing back our boy Ganondorf.
Yep.
What the trailer showed was the corpse of a Gerudo, a mummified corpse of a Gerudo being held back, a Gerudo male being held back by some force and power with the Ganon-colored energy leaking from it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way it's not Ganondorf's body. Another parallel to a Zelda game is the corpse has a chest wound in it and its neck was broken because it snaps its neck back in place. A great meme has been made from it already. Fantastic. The parallel that draws is in Twilight Princess. That's where we left off. The Twilight Princess Ganon. He was stabbed through the chest, and then his neck was broken by Zant. So a lot of people are saying this is Twilight Princess Ganondorf. which would indicate that that's where Breath of the Wild falls in the timeline. Though there's lots of theories about the timeline of Breath of the
you
Wild.
have the Koroks from Wind Waker.
Yeah,
you have
a lot of people think it's a merging of all the timelines, or
yeah.
that all the timelines would have ended up there or whatever. So
That's
effectively, they all kind of move in that direction for going forward.
Yep.
So I would love that if it was just kind of a merger. If they were say, this is where the timeline's going forward now, they've all come back together to form this
new
world.
Timeline. Yeah,
that'd be great. But yeah, just the direct parallels to Twilight Princess. So there's lots of theories about, are the Twilight making a return? Are we going to see Midna or Midna's predecessor somehow?
Yeah.
Is Link going to get a whole new set of powers as a result of this? Is Zelda going to be playable because they featured her with a new fancy haircut? So are there going to be maybe co-op elements or switching between Zelda and Link adventuring together?
Yes.
All that,
all of
please.
that. So all of it, yes.
Yeah. So there's so much possibility and speculation going around Breath of the Wild, but the bottom line is they're taking arguably one of the best Zelda games of all time, but definitely the best Zelda game of the decade, and they're making a sequel, direct sequel to it. And the developers said that they are been inspired by Red Dead Redemption 2. So to me, that is the thing that stole the show for me. Like, and that was the last thing. So it's been all I've been able to think about. Again, this, like I said, 2 games, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Breath of the Wild, have got me less excited about Borderlands because now I have something beyond Borderlands to look forward to.
No release date. We have no idea when.
We have it was the most teaser of a teaser, but it was still so good. And the fact that they already have the engine made
can be pretty quick.
They can probably bump it. I'm expecting personally.
Yeah.
I'm expecting holiday 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. And part of that's because if you look at the timeline between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask was like 2 years. Yeah.
No, it was faster.
Was it
faster?
faster?
Less than a year.
Okay, yeah. So,
it was actually a thing. Like they were stressed trying to get that done.
Yeah. So I imagine that we'll see by
Or
holiday 2020, I will see Breath of the Wild 2. I don't think it'll be called Breath of the Wild 2, but that's the best we have right now.
Yeah.
So,
right.
that was it for
so
me.
Good.
That was it. Where
are you at with Link's Awakening though?
I'm not sold.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not. It's just the isometric Zelda games I've tried to get into them before and just haven't really been able to. I'm still interested in playing Link to the Past, of course.
We're going to do that one day.
We're going to do it. It's going to happen. But I just never, so I'm not super excited about it, but I might borrow your copy.
Nice.
So I'd be interested in borrowing it at least. So I'm not super sold on it, but yeah. So that's why I think I showed you the meme format that's like the girl versus.
I spent so much time trying to figure that out, and I still have no idea what it's talking about.
I'll explain it to you after that.
All right.
So yeah, I just waxed eloquent on Breath of the Wild. Anything else you were hyped about, or is that?
Yes, there's a bunch. I was extremely hyped about where'd it go? I had it up here, and it's gone. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. It's not in my notes, but I was very excited about it. I thought it made a good showing. They announced new DLC coming right away. X-Men, specifically X-Men, that I'm excited about.
I'm hyped about
really
something
good.
you don't have on your notes. I'm hyped about the Astral Chain game,
yes.
the Platinum.
Yep,
I'm not super hyped about that because again, it wasn't the best showing, but like I love Platinum games. I've loved most of the things they've come out with, and that Switch exclusive looks like it's going to be really fun.
New IP.
It had me totally like
anime. You're
into
in.
it. Yep.
Like it looks good. I'm really excited about that too. That's all I can think of that I'm excited about.
Yep. Cool.
I can talk about what I was disappointed in.
What were you disappointed? Yep.
Another sword character in Smash. So there's that. And we already talked about it. No Metroid Prime trilogy. There's been so many leaks and rumors about it. It's already done, apparently. It's sitting on a shelf. Like, what's going on?
I was very sad. That was my, like, and again, it wasn't something I consciously realized until after the press conference. Like, oh yeah, we didn't see anything about that. So I don't even care they didn't show anything about Metroid Prime 4. I'm fine with them taking their time and starting over with Metroid Prime 4. I wanted to be tied over with some Metroid Prime trilogy so that I could catch up on the franchise and get even more hyped about 4.
Like, apparently it's there. It's done. Like, I don't know who to believe anymore.
Apparently not. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing with Fable. All the rumors that they've been working on Fable, a new Fable 4 is coming out.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, based on the evidence, they're not. And then similarly, like, all the rumors are there that they've got Metroid Prime trilogy, but
there's nothing that definitively
unless
says
they're saving.
Exist.
You're right, but unless they're saving it for another games conference, we have to go forward with the assumption that they're not until there's compelling evidence that they are.
And that's the thing with these Nintendo Directs. Right? They happen all year round. They all have hype moments. Every one of them's like, and we have one more thing. There you go. Like, that's how Smash was announced. It was not at E3.
And one could make the argument that they're like, okay, well, let's look at our slate. Let's look at our lineup. We don't have Metroid Prime 4. We don't have Ready. We don't have We've already shown off our Pokemon stuff. We don't have anything else really. Maybe it's like we could have ended on the Metroid Prime trilogy, or we could save that as the hype moment for the fall direct.
Yeah.
Or the end of summer direct. And in the meantime, we'll show for E3, we'll bring the big guns with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
So one could argue that maybe they're ready, they're sitting on it, and they're just waiting for the right time to get the best marketing push they can out of it. And that's the only hope that we can hold on to at this point.
That's it.
So, all right.
There was also no new update on the Nintendo Switch Online service games.
Yeah, that's...
we have a massive, extensive library of NES games available to us, but I was hoping they would bring Super Nintendo and maybe N64 or any GameCube ports. I was excited to see what they were going to do with their retro library, and nothing was talked about. So I was kind of bummed about that.
But all right, what do you just not care about?
Resident Evil 5 and 6. That was a weird. Did you see that?
Yeah,
they were playing in a dark mansion, and they were like, maybe you want to play Resident Evil in a dark mansion. And it showed these kids playing Resident Evil 5 and 6.
Yeah,
why?
I skipped all that, honestly. I was like, okay, don't care.
Yeah, and there was Sonic and Mario Olympics, which I don't care about. No More Heroes 3, I don't know anything about. And then the weird Dark Crystal.
Well, it's I recognize it because there's a Netflix show they're doing called the Dark Crystal.
Redoing it or something.
So it's okay, tie into that. Great.
And they showed this tactical RPG, which looked crazy, but then it was kind of weird with the whole Dark Crystal thing.
You know something I don't personally care about, though I do respect it as a win for Nintendo? I think it's great that Nintendo is getting The Witcher 3, because that's a cool third-party game for them to grab. But at the same time, I'm also like, okay, 5-year-old game, great. Don't get me wrong, Nintendo's grabbing some brand new releases like Doom Eternal is awesome. And so things like that are steps in the right direction. But I'm also like, you're featuring and highlighting a game that's 5 years old and great. It's a critically acclaimed game. It's one of the best.
It's a technological masterpiece. And amazing that they're even being able to render this thing on the Switch.
I agree with all those things.
Yeah.
And at the same time, for myself, I'm like, okay, don't care. Played it already. Done. 5-year-old game.
I didn't feature it on any of my hype or disappointment or don't cares because I love the fact that it exists. I'm glad somebody's doing this amazing technological achievement to take that game, a behemoth of a title that's super, quote, next gen, even though it's current gen, and bringing it to the Switch. Yeah.
Okay. Overall thoughts on Nintendo.
Strong showing of what they had.
Yep.
I wanted more hype.
Yeah.
And the only hype that we got was Breath of the Wild sequel.
Oh, but
which was good.
And
the Banjo-Kazooie Smash reveal. But I wanted more. I don't know why. I
understand.
There was something missing. And I can't... It's missing, so I don't know what it is. And performed as expected. It was good. So definitely an A from all of the conference perspectives.
Yeah. All right. Okay, cool. All right, final thoughts on let's do E3 as a whole, and we'll start with the question, who won E3 this year?
I'm so torn between Square Enix and Nintendo. I don't know who won because they both had such good moments.
Nintendo won for me because even though I agree that there were some things that I was disappointed that they didn't show at Nintendo, I will say what they did show... I mean, you're going to always get me with a Zelda game, like a mainline Zelda game, but specifically a direct sequel is so intriguing to me, and what they showed was enough for me to just knock it out of the park. Top that off with, again, a historical moment of Banjo-Kazooie in Smash. Super excited. So those two things together, combined with some other good high points and moments. Luigi's Mansion looks sweet. Astral Chain looks intriguing to me. Even Daemon X Machina, that was one we didn't talk about. Looks like it could be good. So there was enough like,
what about Animal Crossing?
This is solid. I don't care enough about Animal Crossing, though I am interested. I'm interested in getting into Animal Crossing. I'm just not yet. So there was enough good coupled with enough awesome. And even though they had things missing, the difference is there were things that I can point to and say, I wish that was featured in there. I can't say that for Square Enix because I don't care enough about Square Enix's offerings to say oh, why didn't you have that? Why didn't you have that? So the fact that I'm disappointed that things were missing goes to show how much I expect and care for Nintendo. So again, I'm not just being a Nintendo fanboy right now. I don't think Nintendo's Direct last year was as good as their Nintendo Direct this year. So, I would say Microsoft won last year's E3. Nintendo won this year's E3 for sure. For me.
I think you've pushed me over the edge between the Square Enix and Nintendo.
Honestly, I was kind of hoping that you would have Square Enix. That way we could have differing points of view, but that's fine.
Well, you sold me.
Yeah.
I have to
I'm
agree.
sorry.
Like, there's so many hype moments with Nintendo, and it was paced well. They didn't spend too much time on any specific thing that didn't deserve to be there, didn't belong. Everything mattered. It catered to all audiences more than Square Enix. There's no big lull, and it was a direct, so it wasn't live, so there was no weird like interviews or any weird developers on stage, even though I love the developers on stage because it shows us who's actually making these things, who actually matters. But yeah, Nintendo had from an objective perspective, Nintendo had the best press conference with their direct, and from me, Termite's perspective, I loved everything they showed almost because it's Nintendo. So yep,
cool. All right. Did anything feel off this year?
The entire E3 presentation seemed lackluster. And it goes back to what I said about Microsoft. I think it's just where we're at in the gaming industry with the console transition. And that's kind of why Nintendo actually shined, is because Nintendo doesn't give a crap about the generation Switch.
Right.
They're not even talking about it. Everything about these new Switch models is total speculation and leaks and rumors. Like, nothing's been announced. We have Sony and Microsoft both, and Google Stadia, talking about the future of gaming. Nintendo's not. They're just like, here's what we have now. Yeah. Here's a 5-year-old game. Here's 5 new games. Yeah. Here's like all this stuff that they have. They don't give a crap about this generation stuff. So outside of Nintendo, everyone else is like, you can see they're clearly getting ready for the transition. And I think that just weakened all of E3 this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then to me, it was most obvious in the fact that Sony being there definitely made the whole thing feel weaker.
Yep, without them
which
there,
is a comment that Phil Spencer made as well. He said that both Sony and Activision pulling out, and Activision I haven't even considered, but yeah, Activision pulled out of E3 a long time ago.
Yep.
With them pulling out of E3, it's definitely made the entire show weaker, and that's unfortunate. I do, and so Phil Spencer was like, "We want you guys back," which is cool. That's cool for him to say about, like, again, this was a time when Microsoft could have shined with Sony's absence, and they didn't. And now he's saying, honestly, we want you guys to be there as well, to kind of, again, strengthen the overall, like, unity of the gamer and gaming community. So, yeah, no, and I would agree with all those statements. Like, Microsoft or Sony not being there, even if Sony was just showing off the same games they have. Yeah. I think I was saying, like, I'm glad they're not there earlier, but now that they're not there, and I'm like, it feels like a huge chunk of the gaming community that just wasn't represented at all. And that's sad to me. So, yep. How do you feel like this year compared to other years? We kind of already touched on it, but any other thoughts with that?
There's just less surprises overall, less get hype moments. The conferences are getting better, though. Like, we didn't have any live bands. Yeah. We didn't have cars, like automobiles.
They did have one. They had the Assassin's Creed.
Oh, there was a live band for that. But wasn't an orchestra, though, right?
It was.
Orchestras are different. Orchestras are fine.
They also had like a Let's Dance thing where they had dancers come up on stage for Let's Dance.
Ubisoft, what are you doing? You ruined my entire idea.
No, but other than Ubisoft, you're right. There were no other awkward. There was no freaking Rage band.
Yeah, I mean, last year Bethesda had the live band that I'm referring to. Last year Square Enix's direct thing was terrible. This year, none of the press conferences were terrible. They weren't bad. Last year there was, and so they're getting better overall. They're getting used to how to tighten up the pacing, how to tighten up the spread of games they're announcing, and giving everyone, all the audiences, something they can walk away from every conference and be excited about.
Yeah, which is an interesting contrast when you consider our last question: is E3 still relevant? Despite the fact that their press conferences are getting better, with other weak things like no Sony, no Activision, and overall, less exciting offerings, do you think that E3 as a press conference is still relevant in this world?
I understand both arguments. Okay. I understand no, because we have a direct model set up by Nintendo, followed through by Sony with their state of plays, and why it's expensive, why have this. This is not what it used to be. We're an internet-connected world now. We can do everything automated online, and you don't need to have these type of press conferences. But then I also hear the other side of the coin, which is the get hype moments. This is a time to celebrate as gamers, celebrate everything we're doing, and get out there and have a massive convention that's going on, and like all this stuff. So I get both sides. And this year, specifically this year, we could have skipped E3.
Right.
We could have everyone could have just done online direct stuff, and it'd been fine because of where we're at. Going back to my point earlier, this is a generation switch where we don't really have enough information about the next gen to reveal, to make it hype. Then we already know everything that is coming out already. So here we are. And so this year felt a little weak. So was it relevant this year? If there was a year to skip, it was this one.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with those thoughts. I wonder if like the future of E3 ends up being more like a Comic-Con thing.
That's what I'm thinking.
Where it's like E3 is a time for the gaming community to come celebrate games together. And there's a lot of across the aisle stuff, maybe even some like crossover events of some kind.
Yeah.
Maybe you have Digimon and Pokemon Go or something like that for like the week of E3. I don't know, things
Right.
like that, where like you have Smash tournaments, you have Smash players playing Overwatch. You know what I mean? Like things where people come together. You have panels where developers can talk more in depth about the games that have already been announced or the games that just came out.
And they would still announce new stuff.
Yeah, and they would still
If
announce
they
new
did.
stuff here and there, but they can save the big announcements for other things throughout the year. Or they can start having their own conferences like BlizzCon or like the PXO or whatever. PSX, yeah. PXO.
And PAX, I think you were...
Yeah, that probably got conflated. So maybe that's what the future of E3 is. Because I think there's still value of having a time of the year where the gaming community kind of comes together and surrounds an event. And if we got rid of E3, then that we would lose that.
Right.
But at the same time, also from this is a time for consumers to get hyped about things, it's starting to lose some of its panache.
Right.
But
we'll see what happens next year. I think next year will be a really big...
Yeah, because it will be the start of a new generation.
And that'll be the biggest, hypest E3 we could have. So if that one sucks, is not, or is lackluster, then there's an objective problem with E3.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our E3 recap. We
That's
did
it.
in about half the time
We did.
as we did last year. So we still rambled on a couple things, but hopefully it's not
Last year we went through
overwhelming.
every single announcement.
Yeah.
This year we just touched on all the
ones
highlights.
that we liked. Yep. Cool.
Again, hit us up at 80bitpodsmash.com.
Yup.
Check us out every single week. Monday at midnight, our new episodes launch. We have topical episodes, smashing ideas that you care about with video games. You can hit us on social media at Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, 80bitpodsmash, 80bit podsmash. Check us out.
Yep. And Monday you'll be able to look forward to our episode about our last video game lit for a while, where we talk about plot.
Yeah.
It's a great episode. It's a very penguiny topic, very intellectual. Great.
I
It's
learned a
awesome.
lot.
Yeah, we both learned a lot.
Yeah.
So, all right, listen to us Monday, and we'll see you then.
See you next week.